This evening, first up, Vice President Bharrat Jagdeo assures citizens that promised Christmas cash grants will be delivered, while also moving to dismiss fears of a looming foreign exchange crisis. Plus, another high-profile resignation rocks the PNCR. This time, its treasurer steps down, deepening questions about the party's future. Also, a family tragedy in Berbice. Police says a 55-year-old woman, a patient at a mental health clinic, is in custody for allegedly killing her own sister. Meanwhile, one of this year's biggest drug busts, police wipe out over $1 billion worth of cannabis during a massive joint eradication exercise in the Upper Berbice River. And in the Philippines, grief and devastation as the death toll climbs past 70 after a powerful earthquake shakes the nation. Those stories and more coming up on Headline News Update. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for October 3rd, 2025. I'm Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, Vice President Dr. Bharrat Jagdeo has assured citizens that the government will honor its pledge to distribute cash grants by Christmas, reaffirming that campaign promises will be delivered in full. Addressing reporters at his weekly press conference on Thursday at the Otachan Conference Center, Dr. Jagdeo declared whatever the president said on the campaign trail will be done.
The announcement during the campaign where the president had said that government was mulling a second cash grant possibly before Christmas. My question is, has this been decided on as yet? Has a concretized decision been made? Will there be a cash grant before Christmas?
Whatever the president said on the campaign trail will be done.
Last year, the government distributed $100,000 to every adult Guyanese, injecting some $60 billion into the economy. Dr. Jagdeo stressed that while cash transfers are essential, they are not the only means by which citizens benefit from all revenues, noting that the government continues to invest in other sectors to enhance social well-being. Other grants issued by the government include the $50,000 Because We Care cash grant, $100,000 newborn grant, and several one-off grants, including $25,000 for public servants in 2023. With Christmas on the horizon, Vice President Jagdeo's assurance means the citizens can expect their cash grants on time, even as the government pushes wider investments to secure lasting benefits from the oil economy. In other news, a 55-year-old woman said to be a patient at a mental health clinic in Kanji Berbice has been taken into custody after allegedly murdering her sister at Plantation Ross, West Coast Berbice on Thursday night. Police in Regional Division 5 are now investigating the alleged murder of 72-year-old Barbara Crawford, a pensioner of Amelia's Ward Linden, who was reportedly killed at her sister's home in Plantation Ross, West Coast Berbice. According to investigators, Crawford had been staying at the residence since September 12th after attending a brother's funeral. Reports are that around 7:45 p.m., Crawford was heard shouting, prompting her brothers to intervene. Roy Walters, a brother of both the victims and suspect, who lives in the bottom flat of the home, went upstairs to investigate. However, the doors were locked, so he called over another brother, Lester Walters, for assistance. Both men were able to break open the back door and gain access to the house. Upon entering the house, the men found their 55-year-old sister, believed to be the suspect, armed with a knife. The men managed to disarm and restrain her before discovering Crawford motionless in a chair beside the hall. Police were alerted and later arrested the suspect, who was taken into custody at the 4th Wellington Police Station. She is reported to be a patient at a mental health clinic in Kanji Berbice. The deceased body was taken to the Bailey's funeral home where it awaits a postmortem examination. Meanwhile, the suspect's daughter told police that during a phone call, her mother admitted to strangling and killing Crawford. Investigations into the incident remains ongoing. On a different note, the People's National Congress Reform has suffered another high-profile resignation, with its treasurer, Elson Lowe, stepping down from the post in the wake of the party's heavy defeat at the September 1st general and regional elections. Lowe, who also sat on the party's Central Executive Committee and served as economic advisor to the leader, submitted his resignation on Wednesday night. While he stressed that he remains a PNCR member, Lowe cited multiple factors for his decision, including plans to pursue further studies, but declined to elaborate further. His departure follows the resignation of PNCR Chairman Sherwin Holder and Executive Member Marvin Williams, leaving vacancies on the CEC. The party has indicated that replacements will be drawn from its ranked election list, with Christopher Jones and Egerton David next in line. However, no official confirmation has been given as yet. Lowe's resignation comes against the backdrop of mounting internal tensions. In his September 18 appearance on an online show, he openly criticized the party's leadership, citing poor strategic planning, disorganized candidate selection, and a top-down leadership style that ignored critical data and advice ahead of the elections. He admitted regret over not being more assertive in pushing for change. Despite the departures, the PNCR's CEC has reaffirmed its full confidence in leader Aubrey Norton, stressing that any change in leadership can only occur through a duly convened party congress. The committee rejected claims of turmoil within the party, insisting that public grievances from a few individuals would not derail its rebuilding efforts. The resignation marks another blow to the coalition partner of APNU, which not only lost to the PPP in September's poll, but also ceded its main opposition status to the newly formed We Invest in Nationhood WIN party. Stick around when we return. Jagdeo denies foreign exchange crisis, backed measures to curb system abuse, and police destroys over $1 billion worth of cannabis in Upper Berbice River operation.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. How smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Vice President Dr. Bharrat Jagdeo has dismissed claims that Guyana is facing a foreign exchange crisis, attributing the recent surge in demand to large-scale capital projects underway in the country. Speaking at his weekly press conference on Thursday at the Otachan Conference Center, Dr. Jagdeo assured that the nation's reserves and inflows remain strong.
We've always maintained throughout the campaign and for the several years that we've been in government, that our capacity to manage the financial sector, and capacity doesn't mean just the technical capability, but the funds to inject in the market.
Dr. Jagdeo explained that companies are borrowing heavily from local banks to finance equipment purchases, temporarily increasing the demand for foreign currency. He added that once projects, including the landmark Gas to Energy initiative, are completed, import costs will decrease, reducing the need for foreign currency and boosting inflows.
If you look to the future, we have a growing revenue stream in foreign currency, and we'd have a reduction in demand for some of these projects that are ongoing now, and for import of fuel, basically, energy. So I think we're in a great positioned today to address any growth in demand for foreign currency in the future. We've made this very clear. So there is no crisis in the foreign currency market.
The Vice President also warned against abuses of the system by some non-Guyanese entities exploiting the liberal exchange market to buy US dollars and transfer them abroad. He stressed that the 9 measures recently announced by President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali are intended to curb these practices, requiring companies to submit invoices for large foreign currency transactions.
We're not going to restrict Guyanese from purchasing foreign currency. In fact, we will make sure that we provide adequate amounts from the central bank to meet domestic demand. But we're going to try to close the loopholes on some of those who have been abusing the system. So when you see the need to submit invoices now, it is not to make the system more onerous on Guyanese, because there'll be significant exemptions for small people. They don't have to, if you go for your small business, you wouldn't have to go through that rigid system of submitting all the invoices to show that the invoices match the demand. It would be mainly for the larger users of foreign currency, because we believe it's siphoned off there and then sold to other people who are non-Guyanese to meet their demand elsewhere, or to meet demand that is not captured by the GRA, that is generated from these foreign entities in Guyana.
Dr. Jagdeo cited cases of foreign-owned supermarkets accessing large sums of foreign currency despite not being registered locally, calling the practice unfair and unsustainable. The Vice President concluded that the government remains committed to maintaining a free and accessible system for legitimate businesses while closing loopholes that threaten tax compliance and foreign exchange stability. In other news, in one of the largest narcotics crackdowns this year, police on Wednesday uncovered and destroyed more than $1 billion worth of cannabis during a massive joint eradication exercise in the Upper Berbice River. Ranks of the Ghana Police Force's Narcotics Branch, supported by Regional Division 6, carried out the major joint narcotics eradication exercise in the Upper Berbice River, discovering and destroying by fire more than $1 billion. During the operations, officers discovered 6 cannabis farms spanning 21 acres. The farms contain approximately 180,000 plants, ranging in height from 2 to 7 feet tall. 8 camps and 10 drying areas were also found, with around 2,500 pounds of dried cannabis. In addition to the narcotics, several pieces of equipment were seized, including tractor, tillage machines, weeders, generators, mist blowers, spray cans, water pumps, and a chainsaw. All plants, dried cannabis, and structures were destroyed by fire. The police confirmed that the operation was incident-free. The cannabis destroyed carried an estimated street value of more than $1 billion, including almost $4 million in plants and over $1 billion in dried cannabis. This comes just days after a similar operation in the Upper Berbice River saw officers destroy more than $409 million worth of cannabis and seized 2 unlicensed shotguns along with ammunition. Authorities say these ongoing eradication efforts form part of a broader crackdown on large-scale narcotics cultivation in remote areas. Don't go away after the break. U.S. bailout for Argentina. White House plans $20 billion deal for Milei government. And Sudan flooding. The Nile's raising water levels affecting towns.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lenders, Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Middle Street, Georgetown, telephone 226-1082.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar says she is ready to personally lead negotiations in Venezuela to revive the stalled Dragon gas project. Following talks with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Washington signaled support for licenses, ensuring no major benefit to President Nicolas Maduro's government. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said Thursday that his agency is ready to support Argentina, a week after revealing both sides were in talks over an economic aid program that could include a $20 billion swap. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bo reports.
President Javier Milei came to power with a promise to transform Argentina's economy. And even though he has managed to pass some crucial reform, his program is not going as initially planned. There's been severe financial instability in the past month. And it's the United States and Donald Trump who has said that the United States will do whatever is necessary to help stabilize Argentina's economy.
People of Argentina, we're backing him 100%. We think he's done a fantastic job.
Argentina lacks foreign reserves, and that generates lots of financial instability. And the reason why Argentina needs assistance is evident on the street, the Florida street, filled with shops where sales are tied to the price of the US dollars. In fact, shops advertise the price of the dollar in almost every window, and in the past weeks, it's been changing a lot.
Si es una situación país-país.
A swap with the US is okay. It's just like what we do with the Chinese. But if it is meant to help this government, then I don't agree, because it's one country interfering with another.
Javier Milei is implementing a very harsh austerity plan, and in Argentina, austerity plans always end up in this very large protest on the streets. The government has cut back spending on hospitals and universities. Congress is fighting back and has managed to overturn several presidential vetoes. Let's go and talk to some people here about what they have to say. Karina Nieto's 6-year-old daughter is currently being treated for cancer in the Garrahan Hospital in Buenos Aires. She says she's on the streets to demand funding for the institution that is struggling to save her daughter's life.
The public hospital treating my daughter saves lives every day. They take care of our children and our families. We have to embrace it, and it's time the whole world knows what is going on. I want to tell the government that what they are doing is not human.
Milei's popularity has suffered in recent months after a series of corruption scandals. The President Party has also lost to the Peronist opposition by almost 14 points during local elections in the province of Buenos Aires. So financial assistance from the United States is crucial for the government right now, because there's midterm elections at the end of the month, and it's not clear yet how the President's Party will do. This is a big test for President Javier Milei, because it will help determine what he'll be able to do in the 2 years he has left in office. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera, Buenos Aires.
At least 72 people have died after a 6.9 earthquake that hit the central Philippines. Al Jazeera's Barnaby Lowe reports.
Looking at what's left of their home, Floramy Bellarmino still can't believe how she and her family survived a magnitude 6.9 earthquake. She says her mother would have died if her brothers hadn't pulled her from the debris.
My mom was severely injured. The wall collapsed on her because, as you can see, the house was split in half, so basically one half of it fell on our mom.
They'd lost their home before in this relocation site in Bogo City in the central Philippines. The epicenter of the quake was meant to protect them from another disaster. Although Floramy's family members are still alive, 8 of her neighbors died.
This community was built specifically to house people who survived Super Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. The deaths here have shown that while there are ways for people to get ready for such disasters, earthquakes almost always come as a surprise and are difficult to prepare for.
That's what Gregorio Molino said happened to his family. Boulders came crashing down on their home during the earthquake and killed 6 of them, including 4 of his grandchildren.
I really can't believe it because it all happened so fast at 10 in the evening. The boulders just suddenly dropped towards our house and crushed it.
Other people died in their village, an entire community mourning their loss while also wondering how they're going to rebuild their lives. It's a question President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has promised the government will address while on a visit to the hardest hit areas 2 days after the earthquake.
We are providing for all of those.
For starters, we'll give every family that's been displaced, especially those who lost their homes, a cash grant worth $170.
A recovery effort is now underway after the government announced a halt to search and rescue operations. But with destruction of this scale, it's likely to be a long road ahead. Barnabilo, Al Jazeera, Bugos City in Cebu, the Philippines.
Rising water levels on the Nile River have led to flooding in several states in Sudan, affecting dozens of towns and villages. Al Jazeera's Hibab Morgan reports.
The town of Al-Faqih Hashim in the north of Sudan's capital Khartoum, partially submerged in water from the Nile River. The streets now flooded, turning into waterways. Ahmad Sharaf has lived here all his life. He says this is the first time the town is being flooded by the Nile.
We've never seen anything like it. We've been threatened by floods in the past, but we've always been able to put barricades that prevented it from coming to the town. But this time the water came with such force and amount, it broke the barricades.
The Nile flooded earlier this week, affecting several states in Sudan, including the capital. The government had issued a red alert, warning citizens along the river to be prepared. Jamal Osman's home is one of dozens that floodwaters have entered, despite him, like many others here, putting sandbags at the entrance. He says he fears the damage will not be restricted to water flooding his front yard.
The walls have started taking in water and becoming shaky. I'm expecting them to collapse in the next day or two because the water is too much. The latrine is now also filled with water from the floods and could collapse. I don't have the ability to fix them all when that happens.
Sudan's government says the rise in the Nile is the result of climate change, leading to increased rainfall at the sources of the river. And the opening of gates on the Ethiopian Grand Renaissance Dam, built on the source of the Blue Nile, also contributed. The water is starting to recede in some parts of the capital, but its impact remains. The flooding comes at a time when Khartoum is recovering from the conflict between the army and the RSF. The devastation caused by the flood is likely to make that recovery much harder. The floods come as the capital is struggling with the outbreak of diseases such as dengue fever and malaria, all consequences of the conflicts that's weakened the health system.
We've come to see the needs of people here, who needs shelter, who needs sandbags, who has a house that may collapse, so we can help. The country is going through a difficult time with the war against the Rapid Support Forces, but we will work to ease the impact of the flooding.
With Khartoum already fragile after 2 years of fighting, people here fear it will take a while before they see any government response to the floods. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Al-Faqih Hashim, Khartoum.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's Safe TV2 headline news for this Friday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. We will be off for the weekend, but you can tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other and do have a wonderful weekend.